Today we have a brand new update from OpenClaw. You can see it right here. It was literally just announced a couple of hours ago. This is a brand new release, and you can see this now supports Cloudflare AI Gateway support. It's got a Moonshell provider, aka China, and Kimmy 2.5. We've got Cron, which announced its own summaries. I'm going to be walking you through what each of these means, right? Now, OpenClaw is a free AI assistant. You can also set it up for free. I can show you today if you have any questions, if you're watching live, etc. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how this works. So you can see all the changes right here. I've actually got a full guide already on this new update inside the AI Profit Boardroom, which we'll come on to in a second. And essentially, we're going to get it set up and start installing it today. All right. Now, you might be wondering, okay, like what do these new changes mean? Let me break it down for you. So this is the new release, as you can see right here. And OpenClaw, if you're not already aware, is your own sort of chat GPT or Claude that lives inside your messaging app. So, instead of you switching to a separate AI interface, you can just text WhatsApp or Telegram or Slack or Discord, and your AI assistant responds, right? Now, you control it, you host it. It can work across all your devices if you prefer. You can also even have it inside a WhatsApp group chat. You might be wondering, okay, like what do the new updates mean? Well, for example, now you can schedule AI tasks to run automatically. You've got a full new skill system, and I'm going to be walking through exactly how to set it up step by step today. A lot of people think you need like your own sort of Mac Mini, for example, to set this up. You don't. You can run this on an old computer, old laptop, etc. We're going to be running through exactly how to use it today. So let's get straight into this, and I'll show you how it works step by step. So here's the GitHub page, and if we go to OpenClaw over here, you can see an example of it. And what we're going to be doing, first of all, is making sure that we get the terminal set up with using this. I'm actually going to uninstall my old version just to install this new version. Number one, to show you how easy it is, but number two as well, because it tends to be easier, especially if I'm on a live stream. Otherwise, like Moltbook, Moltbot, OpenClaw, Clawbot, whatever you want to call it, can break quite easily. So how do you uninstall it? Let me show you how to do that. And then I'll show you how to quickly set it up yourself. So you can just stop and remove the daemon like this. Then you can copy this. All these instructions are inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description if you don't have it already. Then we're going to uninstall this from our terminal, like you can see. And then once we've done that, we can start getting this set up. The way that you can load in the new update, which you can see was just announced a few hours ago on February the 5th. They even had their first ClawCon, which is pretty crazy. I'll come on to that later. So we can just go to OpenClaw here. We can clone this, like you can see. There we go. And then we're just going to copy these commands right here. Then it's going to give you the onboarding, as you can see right here. I'm going to go with Quick Start. If you want a free way to use this, I've got 3 different free ways to use this inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So you can see there's 3 different free methods, as you can see right here. You can even get ChatGPT Codex, which is available for a limited time only, for free to use this too. And I'm going to go with Minimax. We're going to go with OAuth, Global, and you can get a 7-day trial of Minimax coding and then set this up for free. We can authorize that. We've pulled in the new update. Then we're going to go back to terminal. We can keep the current. I'm not going to link it to any messaging apps for now. And, if you want like a more secure way of setting this up, I would just go with skipping that for now, and you can just host it locally so that no one else can access it, right? Some people have been worried about how to set up securely, etc. This is an easy way to just run it locally so that it is more secure than having it on WhatsApp or Telegram or anything like that, particularly if you're not technical. The other cool thing about doing this, as you can see right here, is that I can set it up whilst I'm talking to you, open it up, and boom shakalaka, in literally a couple of minutes, we've just set that up, right? If we say hey to it, we can start chatting with it now. And you can see it's responded. It did actually take, I thought for a second there it hadn't actually worked, but you can see here it is working now. So that's beautiful. So that was pretty easy to install. If you want to know, okay, like what do these changes mean? What does all this mean? Let me break it down for you in a simplistic way, in a simplified way, right? And you can see this was just announced 10 hours ago. And then on Twitter, I think there are even more updates, as you can see. So we'll come on to that in a second. So here are the meaningful changes to this new update. So you can see here, number one, cron scheduled jobs. Jobs now default to announce delivery mode instead of posting to your main channels. They also delete automatically after running, unless you want to keep them going. And you get less duplicate messages. On top of that, they've added new provider support. Now, this is quite powerful. You can add Cloudflare AI gateway integrations, and they've added Moonshot Provider, right, for China-based users with a CN domain. Top of that, they've added more security updates, like you can see right here. So, for example, WhatsApp login tool is now restricted to owner accounts only, stricter credentials, etc., better sandboxing for media files. And then also they've cleaned up some of the Telegram integrations, and they've had some UI fixes too. So for example, the agent model selection now saves properly, new message indicators, etc. So basically, one of the main points of this is more like a security release. Okay, so the cron system changes are the biggest functional difference. Scheduled tasks are cleaner now with less noise, etc. And I think a lot of people have been worried about this. So this helps fix more of the problems. Sticky says, what are you doing? I do not understand. So right now, what we are doing, my friend, is we are installing the new update of OpenClaw, right? This was just released 10 hours ago. It's brand new today. It literally just came out, and I'm showing you how to set it up and install it in literally 2 minutes, as already shown you today. All right. Now, if you want to know exactly what the updates are, I'm going to copy this full guide into the AI Profit Boardroom, as you can see. And you can get access to this guide, as you can see right here in the SOP update section. Okay, so we've also got like a full course on how to use this stuff. A lot of people ask me like, what are the use cases? What are the use cases? Let me walk you through some of the cool stuff that you can do with this, right? I've actually got a 6-hour course, as you can see right here. But the key differences versus regular AI is that it lives in your messaging apps, not a website you visit. It remembers everything across conversations with the memory ID file. It can take actions on your computer, so it can actually like work with local files. It can work 24/7 if you want it to. It's self-hosted, so you control more of your data. And you can actually use it for free, as I've shown you today. There are different options and different APIs you can install this. So, for example, Claude Opus is the GOAT. It's just the best API I've ever seen. But a lot of people struggle with that because it can be quite expensive, right? So what you can actually do is you can get free access to ChatGPT Codex OS and get that set up if you want to with OAuth, and it will automatically set up for you. You could also, for example, use Kimi K2.5, or you could even use Olama, right? And you host Olama locally, and then you link it to Kimi K2.5, which is a cloud API, but it's free within the token limits. Then you can connect it to Telegram, WhatsApp, Discord, etc., and you can install skills, right? So if we come back to this new installation of OpenClaw that we've got right here, what we can actually do here is we can start setting up skills inside here, right? So for example, let's say I want to generate videos, podcasts, images with one skill setup. I need something called Skill Boss. This is a paid plugin, but it's one thing that links like 50 APIs to it, all right? And PJ says the real question is if it's doing the task until the end and gives updates, or just says it's doing it, but you need to message it every time. So that depends on the way that you set it up. I would say the skill of OpenClaw comes down to the skill of the user. The better you understand this technology, which comes from practice and reps, the better quality outputs you get from it, right? So the way that I use OpenClaw now, the way that I can set it up and maneuver with it is so much faster. And that's why I can set it up in like 2 minutes now versus the first time I used it, which took me like an hour, right, to get my head around. So you can just connect to it way faster. Is there any issues connecting it to OpenAI or Anthropic OAuth? Yeah, I wouldn't. Number one, do not connect it to Anthropic OAuth. You can set it up to, I've set it up to OpenAI OAuth. If you're not comfortable doing that, or you don't feel good about that, or you don't want to do it, etc., then you could set up with Kimi K2.5, right? And you can use Olama with that. We've got full guide inside there, profit boarding. Or what you could also do is set it up with Minimax OAuth, which is what we've done today, right? And it's actually designed for that because it's set up so that you can quickly use Minimax OAuth. And if you use Minimax OAuth in the setup as I did today, you automatically get 7 days free on the coding plan, right? So it's actually designed for that stuff. So we're going to go back to the chat here now. And I'm going to say, okay, let's install Skill Boss. So how do we do that? So we can go to skillboss.console, as you can see right here. And then we shall grab this installation instruction for OpenClaw over here. All right. So we're going to open OpenClaw. Like this. And then we're going to copy that. Then we're going to go over to OpenClaw inside the gateway, which you can see is hosted locally over here. We're going to copy this. And then I'm going to say it's inside my downloads folder. All right. And we'll ask it to install this. Now, if this doesn't work first time around, you can either get Claude Code to help you set it up, or you can get ChatGPT Codex OS to set it up, right? ChatGPT Codex OS is free to use right now. It's on a limited time only sort of free option. So you can see it's now asking to access my downloads folder, so it can access local files. I'm going to click on allow with that so that it can access the skillboss.zip and start installing it inside OpenClaw. And Leanne says, so MemoBot versus Nanobot versus OpenClaw, which one is the best? All right, great question. So OpenClaw is by far the best. I've tried them all, I've tested them all. I absolutely love OpenClaw, right? That is the one that I prefer. Then I would say the MemoBot comes in second. Nanobot is a very lightweight version of this stuff, right? So I would put that in last, just because it has less power. It can do basic things. You can set it up quickly. I've got a video on that. But I would say that OpenClaw is by far the best and most powerful out of all of them, right? What I would also say, though, is the MemoBot is the easiest to set up because you just download the file and then you set up with Telegram directly. So we've got this now installed. Boom shakalaka. What does that mean? Well, we can ask it, what can you do now? Based on Skill Boss, right? So if you want to understand what your OpenClaw can do, a lot of people ask me, what are the best use cases? And I would say some of my favorite use cases for this stuff, right? If I had to break it down, it can publish blog posts, communicate via Telegram, create AI avatar videos, voice notes, send emails, organize calendar, blah, 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 right? It can do all these sort of crazy stuff. Now, if we go back inside the gateway here, I'm just going to say, what can you do now based on SkillBoss? Because I know SkillBoss connects it to like 50 different skills. It's got a bunch of automations. I actually built an e-commerce website with it this morning in like one single prompt using anti-gravity. So we're going to test this inside OpenClaw as well. And now you can see all sorts of crazy stuff that it can do, right? So for example, it can build and deploy websites. It can deploy to Cloudflare workers, right? It can set up Stripe directly. It can generate images, audio, video, chat, right? It's got 50 different LLMs connected to it, which is pretty crazy. It can generate emails, so it can send emails, and it can create pitch decks and slide decks via Gamma AI as well. This is all with one single skill setup. We can also do web scraping. We can extract data, search across the web, etc. We can do developer tools, etc. And it's like, what do you want to build? Do you want to generate a logo, an email, a video, etc. Right? So if I say, okay, create a logo for the AI Profit Boardroom, a podcast about it, and a quick animation video about it, right? And then what I'm going to do over here is we're going to go to the AI Profit Boardroom. I'm going to grab all this information about my AI automation community, like you can see. We're going to go back to OpenClaw, and then we're going to paste this underneath. We'll plug that in. I've given it context about what the AI Profit Boardroom is, as you can see right here. And then it should be able to do all three of these jobs at the same time. Okay, now if you don't want to install SkillBoss, you don't have to, right? You could, for example, if you want to generate like free animations, then you could just say install the Remotion skill and then get the GitHub for Remotion. If you wanted to generate images directly, well, you could use something like AI Studio for generating that. If you wanted to scrape the web for free, well, you could get a free API key for Brave Search and then plug that in to OpenClaw as well, right? So it's got all these powers that you can use. You just have to unlock them. Now, whilst we're waiting for that to load, let's have a look what's on the left-hand side here. So we've got nodes, as you can see right here, right? So we've got all these different nodes that we can use. And then we also have the skills, right? So skills are like these things that you can install that just augment OpenClaw itself to make it more powerful. Now, the more skills you set up, the better it becomes. Now, for me, I often uninstall this and then reinstall it because I'm showing it on live stream, the new updates. So for me, like, I don't keep these skills set up. But imagine if you just install one of these skills every single day for a month, right? How you basically make it like 100 times more powerful, right? With a combination of all of these. So if we go back to the chat now, it's beginning to implement all of these, as you can see. You might see some errors whilst it's generating this, and that's okay. But basically what it's going to do is just start generating each of these options, right? And you just have to wait a couple of minutes for it to begin generating and finishing it off. You can also see here that you can save workflows to the process. So for me, for example, one thing that we've actually been doing recently with it which you can see for this website, is we've started creating more and more SEO content, right? So we link it to WordPress. We give it the login details and the API for WordPress for my website, juliangoldie.com. And then I'll just say, like, create an SEO article for this article. And then it will just publish it directly to WordPress. And you see the traffic since OpenClaw was released went from like 200 clicks a day to a peak of 782 clicks a day. Pretty insane. And the way that we do this, again, is like you just go inside here, you would say, okay, can you set a WordPress for me, blah, 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 right? How much of a change does OMD make to performance? How is it implemented? I'm not sure what you mean by OMD. Maybe I'm just not aware of the abbreviation there, but I'm not sure what you mean. Would you recommend VPS setting, or should I set it up on a mic, right? So here's what I'd recommend. When you're setting this up, I would highly recommend that you install it locally. Don't use a VPS, right? The reason that I don't recommend using a VPS is that these pages can get scraped, right? So your gateway page for logging in remotely to that VPS can get scraped by other things on the internet, right? And then other people can access your Claude bot. That's no bueno, right? So what you want to do instead is just make sure that you install this locally instead. All right. Way better to do. How much of that traffic is from the new articles OpenClaw created? I haven't measured that exactly. Myself and Kazra Dash, we actually did a live stream together where we created the content you can see on this page for Best SEO Speakers 2026. And you can see we're already ranking number 3 on the first page for that keyword. We actually ranked within 12 hours using ClaudeBot, using that process. All right. So we ranked really quickly with that. We already had some momentum on the site, so that definitely helped. But the main point here is like it can create content that wants to rank, right? Now you can see here that it is now generated the logo and the podcast, right? And the video generation, of course, will take a few minutes. So it says it will take about 2 to 4 minutes, and it will let me know once it's ready. So if we go inside here, right, and we say, okay, open up the logo. And boom, look at that. We just got a new logo created with OpenClaw. Pretty crazy. All right. If we wanted to open up the podcast, you can see that we've got the podcast set up right there, right? And the video as well. So this is the video too. And you can see we've created the video animation for the AI profit boardroom as well, right? Pretty crazy stuff. So you can see how powerful this is. We literally set this up in the space of a few minutes, just whilst I was talking to you as well. So it's pretty simple. Let's see what else we got here. So Ari says, can you recommend a free API key that allows me to use in local machine and free of cost AI? Yeah, I can show you 3, right? But not using API keys. Instead, what you're going to be using is these methods, right? We've got a full guide inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So link in the comments description, or go to aiprofitboardroom.com. Go to the SAP update section here. Inside the Moltbook course, we do have a 3-hour course on this stuff and a 6-hour course right here. If you scroll down on this page, right, and then you have a look at these methods, we've actually got 3 different methods that you can use. They're not using API keys. Instead, what it's using is OAuth, right? So you can use, for example, Olama with Kimi K2.5 Cloud. You can use Minimax OAuth and the 7-day trial, or you can use the limited time only method of ChatGPT Codex for free as well. Mauricio says, are you running OpenClaw using LLMs locally, or are you hosting them in another place? I'm not comfortable on using it with private models, right? So like I said, if you want to just plug in your own API key, you can, right? Any API key almost. So for example, if you want to use OpenAI's API keys or Claude's API keys, you can use those instead, right? If you don't want to use local private models. Aaron says, are you having OpenClaw generate the images for the WordPress article as well? If so, Nana Banana. Yes, you can do. I think I did on a couple of articles. I didn't master the process, just being 100% transparent with you. I don't want to, mislead you there. I want to be 100% honest with you and tell you that the images that we created directly inside the articles were not up to my standards. However, you can see that the logo we created today was actually looking pretty nice. All right. And I would probably use something like Skillboss instead to create those sort of articles. So that's basically it for me. You can see what the new update is, how it works, how to install it, how to set it up for free, how I install it in like 2 minutes, and then how I quickly put in a skill that can link it to like 50 other APIs in a one-click install, right? Using this process. So pretty simple and easy. Let's see what else we got here. Shout out from Northwest Oregon coast. Hi, Julian. Welcome. AI with Bobby. Thank you very much for joining. Aaron says, thanks, man. Appreciate these live streams and your transparency. Always happy to help. Last Century Motivation says, are you running OpenClaw on your local computer or a VPS? If on VPS, how did you manage to get the UI set, right? So as you've seen today, we set this up inside our terminal, right? So it's running locally. You can see it's running on a local gateway right here, right? So like I always say, I don't recommend setting it up on a VPS, because if you set it up on a VPS and you can access it remotely, then someone else can access it remotely. And that's no bueno, right? So instead, what I recommend is that instead you use local, right? Now, AI with Bobby says, would you use a virtual machine or a Docker setup? So if you want a much more secure way of setting this up, then you can use Docker. And the way that I did that was with Moltworker. You can see a full guide right here with a video tutorial, right? You can set up Moltworker, Claude on Cloudflare with Moltworker. What that does is it sets it up with Docker directly, and then it sets it up in a sandbox. People have to get an email verification code to log in. Plus, when they're using it, you have to approve anyone before they can start using it, right? So if you set this up inside Moltworker, that's an easier way to set this up in a more secure way, right? And then also the cool thing about that is it is running from the cloud, and so it's running 24/7, right? It's not running locally, so you don't have to keep your laptop on all day to use it. Rod says, insane as always, my friend. So thanks so much for watching. That's basically the update, how it works, how to set up, how to quickly get it installed. You can see proof of it working right now. You see how quickly it is to set up. Honestly, it took me ages to figure out, okay, what's the easiest, fastest way to do it. That is by far the easiest, fastest way to do it. If you do the uninstall process, just make sure before you do that, you download any sort of memory files or anything like that. So you can ask for an export of the memory MD file if you've been using it before, and all the configuration files first before you uninstall it. I just uninstall it each time because then it works quicker on a live stream, and I can quickly uninstall it and install it in like 2 minutes. Boom. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get access to this, you can get it with all the guys. You can get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. This is my AI automation community. It comes with an amazing, supportive community that's very helpful, and we all help each other and raise each other up. So you can see, for example, Matt commented here asking this, and then he got like 18 people helping him, right? You can see people are always online inside this community. So if you want to meet cool people who are serious about this stuff, doing similar things, you can get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. You can also see that it's not just me winning with this stuff. So for example, we've got, for example, Cindy crushing it. You've got Abdullah, who built his first automation using NA10. Shout out to Abdullah. That's awesome. You've got, for example, Joseph, who created his own vibe coding stuff, which is pretty cool. You've got Steve Light crushing it with a YouTube AI challenge. All right. So it's not just me that's winning with this, right? If you want to scale up, if you want to save time, if you want to automate your business, check out the AI Profit Boardroom. You can also get 4 weekly coaching calls per week. And then also inside the classroom, you can see all of my best trainings, right? So if you want to go from beginner to expert in just 5 weeks, plus learn how to set up your first AI agent in 5 minutes, we've got it right here. If you want to learn how to automate X, which I do personally, AI avatar videos, screen shares with AI, shorts, Instagram, etc. You can get that inside here. You can get all the Clawbot guides, including a 6-hour course on OpenClaw, plus a Moltbook course right here as well. And you can see how to set up Moltworker as well. And pretty much everything that I learn about OpenClaw, I put it inside this section right here. And then also, if you miss any of the coaching calls, you can watch them back. If you want to get more clients, you can check out the agency course. If you want to learn how to rank #1, you can check out the AI SEO automations here. And also, if you want to grow a YouTube channel based on what's working for me, you can get that right here. So link in the comment description, or just go to aiprofitboarding.com. What else we got here? PJ says, thank you for the live. Always happy to help. AI with Bobby says, going to check it out. Thanks again. Always happy to help. And then Norbert says, is MemoBot better than Claude? I wouldn't say so at this point, right? MemoBot is pretty cool. It's very simple to set up. The cool thing about it is you don't need to use your terminal to set it up, which I think is a big plus for a lot of people watching this. But otherwise, I would say, just use OpenClaw because it is super powerful. It can set up a lot of cool things quickly, and you can see how powerful it was today. Kevin says, what is your main use case for stuff like OpenClaw? So creating avatar videos, presentations, images, using it in Telegram, sharing it with my team, generating thumbnails, creating voice notes. If I'm going traveling, it's like, right, I can just learn the lingo of that country in like 2 minutes because I can create a cloned voice note of my voice, speaking that language and learning the key points, right? I can also generate podcasts. I can publish content to WordPress, use it as an AI SEO agent. Anything that you need to automate, you can do with OpenClaw. PJ says, best platform, who's transparent, go check it out. We'll save you days of searching. Thank you very much. My bot answers are always too long. Why is that? So I would just tell it inside the instructions, right? Like answer me quickly or keep your answers short and direct, something like that, and tell it to save it inside the memory MD file so that each time it talks to you, it's much quicker and it's more direct. Which models are you running? Opus 4.5, Claude, OpenAI. So my favorite model is Opus, but obviously it's quite expensive to run it with OpenClaw. My second favorite is ChatGPT Codex OAuth. My third favorite is Minimax 2.1. I'm not a big fan of using something like Kimi K 2.5 because I just found it was quite slow to reply and it just wasn't as smart as something like Opus 4.5. And Jesper Nissen, it's always good to see you, man. Thanks for joining. Says, here we are again. Midnight says, I have a Mac Mini, but I'm thinking of installing OpenClaw on my personal laptop, which I can use super big local LLM. But I'm curious. Yeah, so if you want to see how Cloudflare works, go to this section right here and then scroll down to Moltworker, right? Check out the guide on Moltworker, right? If you want to see how that works with Cloudflare. Is MemoBot good for browser use? Because I would like my AI agent to use the browser to set things up there. It's good for the basics, right? So you can like search the internet, search Google, but it's not going to set something up like OpenClaw for you, like directly. It's not magic. It's not at the point where it can replace humans on a laptop. Oh, we got a really good tip here from PJ who says, in the interface, there is a section that says instances. Inside, you can turn on and off the reasoning and verbose. This changes the replies to short ones. So there you go. For the comment before that was saying Clawbot just replies a bit too slow, you could use that method instead. Kevin says, I'm trying to automate one of my YouTube videos. I have sound ready, but I want to automate the video background. Is it doable? Yeah, just check out this section right here. And then go to the screen share avatar video process, right? You see that right here. We've got a full guide on how to do that. All right, so today we're going to be talking about the one of the craziest things that actually shocked me, when I saw this morning, I don't know if anyone else saw this, but basically, um, the market was it got smashed by AI's existential threat, aka Claude bot, right? So uh, it was I think it was actually Claude plugins, and basically the latest sell-off was triggered by a new tool from Anthropic's Claude large language model, right? So you can see how this is used for like sales, marketing, data analysis, etc. This is like big news, big news, as you can see right here. This is an article on Reuters, and essentially it's had a huge impact on the market, as you can see, right? Now, I haven't tested out the new plugins feature, but I'm very excited to test it out because you can see here, for example, some of the stats here are pretty crazy. This is wild stuff, right? And it says the core fear is that if AI can complete tasks without recurring software or large teams, then it totally disrupts the SaaS business model, right? And this marked a shift where AI went from being seen as a tailwind to an existential threat for established software companies, right? Anthropic's position is that Claude complements rather than competes with software providers by connecting to other tools. But there's a lot of fear right now. So I want to just test out Claude plugins and we're going to go from there. What is Super Claude Agent? If you mean the new update that we're going to cover now, then I will show you what I mean, right? So the first thing that you want to do, if you want to check out this update that did totally disrupt the market, then we can check it out right here. I'm going to just shut down OpenClaw. Let's close that. All right. And you can see how this works, right? So we've got three options. We've got chat, cowork, and code. If you want to get Claude Desktop, all you need to do is navigate to Claude. Make sure you've got a pro account and then download Claude, right? Once you've downloaded Claude, you can then start using Claude Cowork, which connects with your laptop. Now, the interesting thing about Claude Cowork is it is, oh, look at that. It's we've got a new version already. I'm just going to restart this. It is designed for like normal people who have never used AI to start automating, right? And so what you can see here is we've got Claude Cowork. Now, I've already covered loads of videos before on how Claude Cowork works, how it can organize your laptop, your desktop, etc., all that cool stuff, right? But what we can also do is we can load in something called plugins, right? Now, if we have a look at plugins here, you can see that we've got different plugins. Now, we can load from GitHub. We can add a marketplace by URL. We can upload our own plugins. So you can actually plug in custom plugins from the internet. But the way that I'm going to check this out is by loading one of these. Now, you can see here that we've got multiple different options. And this is what's caused all the pandemonium, by the way, peeps. Like if you look at that Reuters article before, this is the reason, right? People suddenly turned around and went, wow, this is not just like ChatGPT doing M dashes anymore. So if we start having a look at this, we can take a look at let's pull in the productivity one, right? So we're going to install this plugin here. I've never tested this out, so I'm excited to try it. We can then click on manage plugin and you can see here how you could use it, right? So we've got this set up here. We can customize the plugin itself. So we can actually customize it as we want to. And if we go back here, this is designed by Anthropic. Now they've got loads of different plugins like this. And it says the description is manage tasks, plan your day, build up a memory of important context about your work. This syncs with your calendar, your email, and your chat to keep everything organized and on track, right? Now, the interesting thing about this is it is essentially augmenting Claude and the power of Cowork to be like a SaaS tool, you know? And it's like, why would you use, for example, Trello anymore if you can use something like this? And instead of like having a Kanban to-do list, you've got like this automated productivity tool that saves you loads of time, and it's all inside one user interface, right? And not only that, but it's linked to the most powerful and best API on the planet, aka Claude. And so when we're using this, we can switch between these. So we could say, for example, set up my task and memory system, catch me up on and triage stale tasks, what's on my plate today, remember key context about a project so it can have memory as well. We've got these commands for shortcuts, and then we've got these skills, right? So we can teach Claude your team norms and domain expertise to automatically inform relevant tasks. So ClickStanger said something like Notebook LM on Claude. Well, the interesting thing is you can actually get an MCP for Claude with Notebook LM, which means that you can operate Notebook LM with Claude directly. And bear in mind, this is just like a tiny little smidgen of what Claude can do, because already it can create SaaS tools itself. It can create mini apps. It can create websites. If you actually have a look at the website like this, right, we actually coded and deployed this using Claude Opus's API inside OpenClaw, right? The whole website was designed, written, coded, deployed with videos embedded. And this is something we use every day, and it sends traffic here. And we did that all using Claude Opus and the API, right? Now, here's a really interesting question. So Norbert says, is NA10 still worth it, right? And at this point, I can't even remember the last time I logged into NA10, right? I love their team. I love what they've done. I love what they've done for the industry. It's amazing, fantastic tool, but I just don't use it anymore, right? And the reason is because I can use stuff like Claude Opus, or I can use stuff like Claude Cowork, or I can use, for example, OpenClaw. And all these tools instead are like no-code versions of what NA10 is, and they're just much easier to set up, right? So that's why I've stopped using stuff like NA10. So if we go back to Claude here, we can, for example, say, okay, set up my task and memory system. We can click on productivity : start, and then we can begin using this. Now, this is Cowork. And you can see here it's working inside a folder locally. We can add more context here if we want to. So, for example, we could add information about who we are, what we do, what we're working on today. And then it's like, I'll initialize the productivity system for you. Let me check what exists. And you can see how easy this is now for anyone to use the most powerful AI on the planet without being a coder, right? And that was the biggest problem before, was like, you know, you look at something like ChatGPT Codex, no one is going to start using that if they don't have technical knowledge or a fascination with AI, right? The same, for example, if you're looking at something like Gemini CLI, amazing tool, free as well, but no one's going to use it who's not in this realm of AI, because it requires technical knowledge, and therefore it's got a barrier to entry. Whereas you use something like this, and it's just so easy to set up, right? I've just clicked buttons. I haven't even typed anything yet. We can open this up in Chrome, as you can see right here. We can add our list of tasks, and we've basically got like a productivity tool, but it's stored locally, right? How amazing is that? Then if we go back inside Claude here, and we'll say, okay, my tasks today include, I put live stream preparation, live stream research, and then delegate editing the live stream to my team, right? Something like that. And we'll plug that in. And the cool thing about Claude Cowork is that not only can it organize these tasks and help me set it up, right? So imagine I just go into the office and I start working on this. It will organize it in terms of the actual order, right? So you see how I've put my tasks today include live stream preparation research. It's kind of like in a messy order, right? And it's like, here's how you're going to do it, mate, right? You're going to do your research first, your preparation, then your live stream, and then you're going to delegate it, right? And it says the dashboard is ready at HTML. Right? So if we open this up now, we can add more tasks inside here, right? And also, it says one more thing. I'd like to set up memory so I understand your shorthand, people work with, projects. Where do you typically keep your to-dos or task lists, etc. Right? And so just these sort of plugins that augment Claude, make it 10 times more powerful, and then allow you to set stuff like this is absolutely mind-blowing. And I can see why people are beginning to fear stuff like this. Now, I actually don't think that this is anything to worry about. I just think that if you're someone who wants to adapt and learn, now is the time to do it. Now is the time to jump all in on this stuff, because it's changing so quickly. And if you look at all the updates over the last, I don't know, month and 5 days since the beginning of 2026, everything has changed, right? You got AI agents autonomously hiring humans, right? You've got, for example, stuff like Moltbook, where AI agents are using these websites where humans can't even interact on the website, right? You got stuff like Claude Cowork that's totally wiped out the market, right? So there's some crazy, crazy stuff that's going on. Now, what else we got here? How much does stalk cost in APIs? And what's your suggestion to keep the costs as low as possible? So, I mean, like we're focusing on Claude Cowork, and that doesn't cost anything with APIs, right? You just have a pro plan. Can I use OpenClaw on a UTM because I tried out the browser use, didn't work? Maybe I did something wrong, but yeah, it depends which API you're using, right? So the browser use is only as good as the API you're using. So as an example of that, if I use Claude Opus, best API in the world for using my browser too. And so I can even use the Chrome extension and then I can operate my browser. Right? I can do it even inside here. But if I use something like, for example, Kimi K2.5, it's just nowhere near as good. It's nowhere near at the same level when it comes to browser use, and it's quite slow as well. So it really depends what you're using it with. Right? You don't need a UTM for that. You just need a better API, I would say. So that's basically it when it comes to the plugins. You can install all sorts of plugins. You can add multiple different plugins in the same project, right? So you got the productivity one here. You can manage the plugins. You can add more if you want to. You can also add skills. You can add connectors, right? You can add Notion, Asana, Atlassian, ClickUp, all inside here. You can add multiple commands. And this is just one single plugin. We could add more plugins here. So if we browse more, we've got bio research, we've got customer support, we've got data, enterprise search, etc. Right? Marketing, that would be super powerful. Imagine you've got a local AI agent with the power of Claude combined with your marketing campaigns. It would be mind blowing. So you can see how powerful this stuff is. So if you want to get a full guide on exactly how to use this stuff, you can get that for free inside the AI Success Lab. Link in the comments description, right? I got loads of training on exactly how to use Claude Cowork. Plus, if you don't want to pay for Claude Cowork, there are actually some free alternatives that I've covered right here, as you can see. You can also see, for example, we've got like full courses on how to use Claude and master it. This is all free, and it's inside the AI Success Lab. Connects you with 51,800 members, as you can see right here. Link in the comments description. And also, you can get all of these other free trainings. So, for example, here, we've actually updated this for February 2026. So, all of these are new updates this month alone. And if you want to learn all this cool stuff, you can get it inside the AI Success Lab completely free. Link in the comments description. Now, if you're serious about adapting, obviously AI is changing, the world is changing as we know it. We've clearly seen that with this article on Reuters, right? Like things are changing at a dramatic pace. Then check out the AI Profit Boarding. Link in the comments description or go to aiprofitboarding.com. You can join this amazing community with 2,200 members. You can ask questions, post inside the community, etc. You can also join live coaching calls 4 times a week. These get recorded and put inside the classroom if you can't make it. You can also get our full course that shows you how to go from complete beginner with AI automation to expert in just 5 weeks. Plus, you'll learn how to build your first AI agent in under 5 minutes. Additionally, you will get, for example, a full all my playbooks for my business, right? So, for example, how I automate X or Shorts or Instagram or AI avatar videos, screen share videos, etc., all inside here. If we scroll down and we go to the agency course, you can learn how to get more clients. You can watch about the coaching course here. And also, if you want to learn how to rank inside ChatGPT, Claude, Google AI search, etc., you can learn that right here. And additionally, you can learn how to grow a YouTube channel with AI using the methods inside this section. All right. So feel free to get that link in the comments description or go to aiprofitboarding.com. What else we got here? So Norbert says, I would like my AI to do the booking, cancel, reschedule part in a calendar website. Which AI is the best for that task, do you think? So if you want, there's multiple ways you can do that, right? So you could add a connector inside Claude, and you could add your calendar inside here. So you can connect Claude to your calendar, to Google, and then you could set that up directly inside the chat. right? That's one way to do it. So you can go to, for example, connectors here, manage connectors, and then you can start setting that up, right? You can add the connector. The other option that you have is that you can use something like OpenClaw. You can get a Google Cloud Console API and then plug in that API into OpenClaw, and it can manage just your calendar, right? I wouldn't recommend setting up with your emails, because with emails, people can do prompt injection, which is not secure. So you got to be careful about that. But that might be a better way to do it, right? But there's so many different ways you can do this. Pros and cons of operating this on a dedicated Apple Mini versus AWS. So I think you're talking about OpenClaw, right? So honestly, like AWS is a VPS, right? And so if you're using a VPS, then it's going to be hosted on a gateway. If it's hosted on a gateway, right, then people can get access to it externally. There are people actively looking for VPS gateways. They can get access to other people's clawbots and OpenClaws, right? So I don't recommend doing that. Instead, I recommend just hosting it locally. You do not need a Mac Mini, right? You don't need to use a Mac Mini. You can just install it inside the terminal. Could be an old laptop. And then once you got it running, it's hosted on the cloud. You can connect to Telegram or something like that. Leanne says, is OpenClaw, can it hallucinate? Yeah, I mean, like any AI can hallucinate, right? So, even the best AIs in the world, like Claude, sometimes even that can hallucinate. So, you just got to be careful with this stuff. Justin, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. That is really, really kind. I appreciate that. Thank you. And then Last Century says, how would they do prompt injection with emails? Can you please iterate on that? So it's like someone could email, like what's happened before is that someone emails a Claude bot and they say like, just be careful. I'm not going to explain the whole process, but they're like, just be careful, like blah, blah, blah. And then they can manipulate and sort of trick a Claude bot into deleting someone's email inbox, right? So you got to be really careful with that stuff. And that's why I don't recommend connecting it to your emails. That's why I recommend just hosting it locally inside your gateway. Or what you can do is you can set it up on Moltworker, right? We have a full guide right here. Moltworker is hosted on Cloudflare. So Cloudflare is designed to protect half the internet. It's more secure. It's hosted in the cloud. And also people have to get an email verification code to use your Moltbot. And also you have to approve anyone before they can interact with your Claude bot as well, right? So that's a more secure way of doing it. What else we got here? Clickstanger says, did you test Coolify? No, I heard it's really good, actually. I heard it's pretty good. And then Leon says, by the way, OpenClaw is good material to train the roads at AGI. I mean, if you looked at Elon Musk's latest tweet, he was saying how, we're basically in the early stages of the singularity, right? Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But the point here is like things are speeding up and they're getting pretty crazy, undeniably. All right. So today we're going to be looking at the new release of Kling AI, right? So Kling AI 3.0, which delivers cinematic video. So I want to test this out. You can see like someone's created a whole film. As you can see right here, this is L.Sin on X. And he's created a full cinematic sort of documentary. So you can see the power of this stuff is absolutely insane. Here's another example, right? These are like cinematic videos that you can generate. This is a tweet by PJ Ace and Dreamleaf. And this is via the new update from Kling 3.0, right? So you can use Kling 3.0 over here. And if you want to learn how it works, essentially you can make videos in one click. Now, I like to use it directly with something called Higgsfield. And Higgsfield is super powerful. You can get early access directly on there. And essentially you've got like 250 presets for camera control, right? So you can choose, for example, a preset here, or you can get a video, or you can add an image directly. Now, one of the things to note here is that it does take a while to generate. So I actually plugged this in like about 4 or 5 minutes ago. It's taken ages, but you can see examples of what people have generated like this. And you can also do multiple different versions. See, the way that you can use Kling 3.0 is that you can either create a video, you can edit a video, or you can use motion control. Now, if you want to use Kling 3.0, you can use it directly inside here. It's also available in 1080p, and you can generate 15-second videos. Midnight says, who was the shirtless guy? That was me from the gym. Can Claude connect to a NA10 workflow? Because the calendar I want to use is a website which doesn't have an API. Yeah, so you can use the MCP from NA10 if you want to. You can connect Claude to an MCP with NA10 directly. Or you can just copy and paste the prompts in the JSON that you create inside Claude and then plug that into NA10 as well. That's another way to do it. This is actually taking ages. Let's refresh the page, see if it's come through. By the way, thanks for the great content. Always happy to help. How are the costs for 3.0 for 30-second videos? So I think the maximum you can choose, as far as I'm aware, is 15 seconds. And you basically get a certain amount of credits inside Higgsfield, so it's kind of hard to figure it out. Aaron says, have you been to Lumpini Stadium in Bangkok? I have indeed. It was fantastic. I had a Muay Thai trainer, and he gave me free tickets. He used to fight there, so he got free tickets at Lumpini Stadium. He gets them every week, and he gave me free tickets one time, and I went, and it was absolutely awesome. Yeah, would definitely recommend going. Great atmosphere. The other one that I like is Raj Stadium as well in Bangkok. That's great for watching Muay Thai. Either of those, fantastic. Great experience. I think I'm actually going to pass on Kling 3.0. Look how long it's taken. It's just taking way too long. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate it as always. And hope to see you all inside the AR Profit Boardroom. Again, we've got all my guides and courses inside here, as you can see. So feel free to check that out. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, peeps. Bye-bye.